The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the More Inquiries and More Clients from Your Website webinar. Just while we're waiting for a few more to join us, I just wanted to ask if a couple of you could, if you can hear me clearly, could you raise your hand using the GoToMeeting taskbar? That would be useful. So I can tell you hear me. Thank you very much, Harold, Mike, much appreciated. Thank you, Martin, for letting me know about that code. I realised it was doing something rather strange. That's the mobile phone code I promised I was going to share with you later. So you will get to see it, and it will make more sense to you later. So, good. Now I can see you can all hear me. I will get started and get cracking. So thanks very much for joining me today. I'm looking forward to it because what I'm sharing with you now is based on what I've done with a lot of business owners with their websites and how I've helped them to improve them and make them work much harder for them. And most of the changes I'm sharing with you today won't cost you money, they won't cost you a lot of expense, they won't take a lot of time, but please don't let them, the fact that they are so simple often stop you from taking action. Because they have made dramatic impacts for a lot of my consultancy clients, a lot of my businesses. They are changes you can make that will work for you. And I'll take you through a summary of what we're going to do. We're going to do my favorite acronym. First, I'm going to mention that because that's a good general one for you to think about whenever you're looking at your own website. We're going to also cover the tips I've learned from spending over £2 million online. I think the figure's probably 3 or 4 million, but I don't like to say it unless I'm confident. I'm totally confident I've spent or managed to spend more than £2 million online. So this is the facts today are based on all of my experiences, good and bad, and believe me, I've made as many mistakes as the next man. There's also based on another thing I like, which is to make life easier. And I came from the legal sector, and solicitors, when it comes to client acquisition, like to make their life as easy as possible. They like to spend their time doing what they do best, which is looking after their clients. And having worked with lots of different sectors now, from financial advisors and accountants, I realised that that's pretty much the same for most professional service business providers. They want to spend time looking after their clients. They don't want to spend all the time marketing. So I like to make their life easier. I like to make mine easier. I'm going to share those tips with you today. Including how you can get more inquiries from your website, how you can turn more of those inquiries into clients that are willing to give you money, and tools you can use to make that process so much easier. We've got a wide mixture of people on the call today. We've got a call center, we've got consultants, we've got marketing agencies, accountants, solicitors, Mike from the recruitment industry, who does excellent conferences for the recruitment world, so feel free to ask me about those if you'd like his contact details. Copywriters and food safety people. So we've got a real variety. And to make this as interesting and useful as possible for you, I'm happy to look at your websites when it comes to an appropriate moment and give you constructive feedback. So if you fancy that at any point, type your URL into the questions box. And when I get to that point, I'll happily go and look at live websites for you. I'm also going to show you a tool if you have a competitor who annoys you because they keep popping up in the places you'd like to pop up at, then also give me their URL and I'll show you a little tool that you can use to find out why they might be doing better than you. If you're putting in your competitor's URL, put competitor before it, so I know which stage to use it. But as I say, if you would like your website reviewed live, please make sure you type that into the questions box, and when I get an opportunity, I will go across and have a look. Right, let's crack on with the first part, and this is a simple test that I want you to use. It's very visual, it's quite blunt, which is again what my advice is often described as, and I'm going to go straight to the picture. Talk about the mating habits of peacocks and elephants, and on the left you have a peacock who fans his beautiful tail and lets the lady come over to him, and that's his job done. So he's very subtle about it. Now the elephant, on the other hand, as you can see from the picture, a bit less subtle, a bit more forceful. And I want you to remember these pictures because they can save you thousands of pounds in wasted money in the future. Because there's two types of marketing. There's attraction marketing, where people come to you at the time they are looking for your service, and there is interruption marketing where you try and jump about in front of them where their primary purpose is to do something else, and you try and make them come to you. Now, the one that is by far the most successful is attraction marketing. So that would be the example of someone typing into Google your service, say recruitment consultant, and putting in your town, Bristol, finding your website and giving you a call and getting in touch with you. Examples of interruption marketing will be TV advertising when your primary purpose is to watch the TV. You're not thinking about choosing an accountant, an IFA, or any other service provider. An ad pops up and tries to stop you doing what you're doing and make you go and do something else. That is interruption marketing. You'd also put social media in that category because it's much harder to get your attention when your primary purpose is to chat to friends, look at photos, or whatever it is you're doing. So I want you to think about, to remember this picture, because it can save you a lot of wasted money. When you get that phone call from someone telling you how great this new piece of advertising is, you should be doing it, and if you don't, your competitors will. Just think about peacocks and elephants, and if he's trying to sell you elephants, be a lot more careful. I'm not saying interruption marketing doesn't work, it does, but it generally takes a lot more effort and a lot more expense to get it to work, as well as attraction marketing. And what we're doing today is very much all about attraction marketing, getting people to your website and getting them to get in touch with you. First, my acronym, and I first thought of this and came across this when I was a trainee solicitor, and I used to work with a solicitor who frequently used to tell me how brilliant he was. I didn't particularly think that he was, and he also used to tell me what great results he got through his clients, and as I was just a lowly trainee, it was generally me getting those results, but he was fronting the whole thing. And at the end of telling me how great he was, he'd say, well, enough about me, Nick, what do you think of me? And he'd ask my opinion about how great he was. And I've noticed when spending a lot of time on websites that this is a common problem when it comes to content across websites, in that frequently it speaks too much about the business or the business owner and too little about the clients and where they are and what help they need. So it's a general tip across all of your website. Think about a Moody Tom, Moody Tom, or whatever you want to call him. Think about him and think, am I making this mistake? Am I talking all about me and not talking about my clients? And if you are, that's something that changing can make a significant difference, substantial difference. So I wanted to throw that in quite early on as a general check-in point for you to use when you're looking through your website. Moving on to the more other changes you can make, and as I say, if I'm going to look at people's websites, so if you want me to look at yours, please put your URL into the questions box, otherwise I'll pick some I've prepared already. What is it you do? Now, it might seem obvious, and as I said, many of these points are, but I cannot tell you the number of times I look at a website and land on it, and within 10 seconds I can't work out what it is that the website is telling me the service provider does. I'll look at it, I'll be confused, and I'll think, I don't know what you do. And whether it's a professional service, whether you're a consultant, you must shout out what it is that you primarily do for your user, so that when they land and they quickly look and think, yes, this is the right place for me. And you might think it's not a common problem, but I promise you I look at hundreds of websites every week. It's major, and I was just having a quick flick around before I started today, and I was looking for accountants around the area, and I found this firm of accountants in Bristol. They were on the front page of Google, so they're getting people landing there. People are obviously typing in Bristol accountants, finding them, but when you look at their website, it's not until the second line of content that we're actually mentioning the word chartered accountants. I would expect and like to see it next to the logo for every professional service provider, but for most service providers, tell me what you do. Tell me what you do right by the logo so that I can see it instantly and I know I'm in the right place, because nothing's going to send me off your website faster than thinking, I've got to hunt around and find what you do. Is this right? Oh, do you know what? I'll go to the next one on the search and I'll use them instead. So this is a key thing. Make sure you're telling people exactly what it is that you do. And the other problem you can probably see if you're looking closely is that we've definitely got some Moody Tom here going on. We're talking about the firm. We've mentioned the firm name twice in the first two lines of content, and we haven't once mentioned our clients. Our size, we pride ourselves. It's about us. Talk about me. What are your clients? Are you working with big firms, small firms? Talk about the problems I'm facing as a business, choosing a good accountant. So there's two examples there. Make sure you tell people what it is that you do as soon as they get on your website, and make sure you're not making the Tom's mistake. The next thing, which is another substantial challenge and problem for most website owners, is telling people what you want to do. So imagine someone goes through to the effort of typing into Google the service that you provide. They look to try and find your website. They click through, so this is going really well. They like what you say on your website, and they're reading through and thinking, oh, this sounds perfect. It's just what I'm looking for. This is the type of thing I'm looking for right now. And then they get to the bottom of the page, and they're not told what to do. They are left hanging, and they're left completely in limbo, thinking, what should I do next? Well, there's no instruction, there's no advice, there's no guidance. And this is and you might think, well, they can go off and find the contact page, but you have to remember, people are busy, people have less and less time, and they expect you to make everything really easy for them, and as you should do. So if you're going to make it easy for me, at the end of every page of your website, tell me what I'm supposed to do. If you're trying to get me to call you, give me a telephone number, give me an inquiry form, a link to an inquiry form, tell me how I email you, but just tell me exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be looking at. Because if I'm just left hanging at the very bottom of the page, I'm not going to know what to do. Most users look at 2 or 3 pages. I'm probably going to come off your site and I'm going to go to the competitors. So let's have a look. Someone's given me a couple of URLs. Let's have a look and see what we've got. First of all, the accountants, they've linked Bristol Accountants. That's obviously what they're targeting. And then they've put, please contact us. Not a particularly strong call to action. You're not telling me what I'm going to get from this experience. Is it a free inquiry? Is it going to cost me to call? So that needs to be spelled out. Now, if I have a look at another site I've been given, hopefully I've typed that right. Intensive driving crash course experts. That always makes me smile when I see a driving course experts that has the word crash in it. But I get the point. I put my wife through an intense crash driving course, which didn't go so well, but that's because it wasn't with the intensive driving crash course experts. So I know what they do. I know what they're selling, which is great. We've got a strong call to action at the top. And probably what I haven't got is so much substantiation around this. I haven't got an inquiry form, and I'll come on to that shortly. So I can see what you do. We've got the name there. I might be inclined to say what we need at the top is a strong headline to draw me into this page and explain why I'm going to choose you, because I can see why. So if I had some headline there that said, we get results, we get people through a driving course in 7 days, 14 days, 80% on average pass, that would get me interested and then push me to get on the phone with you and speak to you further. So I'd probably be looking for that. But the call to action needs to be very much at the end of each page as it is there. As I say, the other thing I'd be looking for is an inquiry form, and I'll come back to that later because that's another part of the slide. So that's very useful. I've got another site to look at as well. Oh, I can't type. emersonsolicitors.co.uk. That's for a competitor. Okay, I'll come back to that later. So at the end of every page, make sure, go back through your website at the end of this. So what I want you to do today is take action with these points, because you may surprise yourself. You might think, I'm doing that on every page. Go back and check, because I cannot tell you how many times that isn't the case. So go and have a look and make sure you are letting people know exactly what they've got to do at the end of each page. The next thing is what I've created called the 2-minute trust builder. And the main reason it's called the 2-minute trust builder is because the average time most people will spend on your website is 2 minutes. And if you don't appeal to them within that 2-minute period, you've lost them. And as we know, if for every 100 visitors to your website, you're lucky if 1 or 2 will get in touch with you. So you want to make sure that those that do find you, you give yourself the absolute best chance of turning them into new clients, turning them to new income for your business. So the 2-minute trust builder is about giving me enough information that as soon as I land on the page, I can see that you are experts at what you do. So we've got 2 aspects to this. We've got depth of expertise. How many pages are on this website that prove to me you know what you're doing and that you're sort of looking like experts, because there's not just one page about this, there's several pages. So if we go back to our intensive driving crash course experts, we've got the home page, we've got crash course, we've got a crash course boot camp, testimonials, tuition, many pages under there, which is great because we're covering the core services. So if I was looking at an accountant's, I'd want to see all the different aspects of accountancy services, and on the driving side, I've got lots of different aspects of tuition. So there's a good level of pages within the site that might make me think, yes, these people do know what they're doing. I will give them a call and I'll get on the phone. And as we know, that's what we want to do. I'd be strengthening that call to action, as I say, with a link to an inquiry phone to the local number, to the inquiry form, etc. And is there enough content on each page? Now, for Google to understand what each page is about, each page needs about 400 words. Now, for a lot of people, the common argument I immediately receive in response to that is, well, that's just too much content and it's going to put people off, and they'll see all the words and they'll disappear. Well, one of the best sites we manage in terms of generating leads for solicitors is called First Claims. I'll put it up there because I'm going to show you that piece of code I promised you. But each page is substantial. It's broken up with headlines, sub-headlines, bullet points. But I can tell you, it's one of the best converting websites that I've seen, and as I say, I've looked at hundreds. So don't think that too much content scares you off. And best example I can give you this, when I was still a solicitor, which is many years ago, thank goodness, I worked for a firm, and I created a website for them which had about 100 pages. Each page had at least 400 words on it. It generated a substantial volume of business, of clients, of inquiries. It worked really well. About a year after I left that firm and set up my consultancy, I met one of the partners at the firm and said, "Oh, Nick, we've got rid of that website you gave us. It's now just a simple 5-page website. It's really easy, really clean. There's not much content on it, just so people can see what we do and get in touch with us." And I said, "Oh, and don't tell me overnight you stopped getting inquiries." He said, "Well, how did you know that?" If people can't find you, it doesn't matter if you've only got a few words on the website. No one's going to find you. Google needs needs enough content to work out what each page of your website is about. So if you don't have much content on the website, you're almost guaranteed to struggle to generate inquiries from that website. So that's part one of the 2-minute trust builder. The second part is you've got to go to the extent now of proving that you're an expert in this sector. So proof of expertise can form many different methods, qualifications. If you're a solicitor, accountant, IFA, tell me. If you belong to any big bodies that approve your experience, tell me. And you usually put these things on the right hand side of your site so I can click through and read more about them. Don't do what so many people do, which is link straight off to those websites. So I'm on your website 1 minute, the next I go off to a professional body for the service you provide, which then allows me to search a directory to find somebody to help them, and it might not be you. Link that to a page on your website which explains what your qualifications and expertise is all about and why it benefits the clients. Again, talking about putting your clients first, which is my simple marketing definition. Everything should put your clients first. So tell them what it means if you've got these qualifications, this expertise. I've put testimonials and the or there is, why not, instead of putting testimonials, put reviews, because the public is becoming more and more used to reviews now on TripAdvisor, Amazon, product reviews, holiday reviews, etc. So why not use the terminology that people are using more and more now? If you've had press coverage, make sure you've got copies of those press items on your site. Again, not on the other website, keep them on yours. If you have books published or articles, refer to them. And the other thing to consider doing is, I mentioned the Steve Jobs magic dust, which I'll come to later. One of the things they did, which was very nice, is when they were getting to a substantial volume of apps loaded, they had an app counter on their website which showed how many had been downloaded, and it just gave you the confidence, okay, they've sold a few of these, they must know what they're doing. And you won't be surprised to see that I've used that tool on the claims website to show how many inquiries we've handled, because it's another part of this 2-minute trust builder. So whatever service you provide, make sure that if you look at your website objectively and you come on and you look at it, does it say that you're an expert in the subject, or could it be improved? Could there be more content? Could there be more details about your expertise and your experience? So that's the 2-minute trust builder, and that can make a substantial difference to volume of inquiries too. The next thing I wanted to do was look at what people find when they're looking for your service, and make sure that you're selling people onto your website. So I've only had the driving instructor website put through, so I prepared one earlier. I thought I'd use the marketing agency. So what you see here is obviously a normal Google search result. I've put in marketing agency Bristol, and as is often the case, the marketing people don't do their own marketing particularly well. Now this code here is produced directly from the owners of this website. So if I type in marketing agency Bristol, I'm looking for that search term to be repeated, and every time it is, you'll see it goes in bold. Bristol or agency or marketing is bold, as it is down here. Now this firm is definitely making the mistake of a bit of a moody Tom. McCann Bristol, we've got twice, award-winning integrated marketing agency developing digital marketing, PR, advertising and media. But I'm not really being sold onto anyone's site here. No one's sort of saying what's in this for me. So Stuff Advertising is saying it's all about them as well. We are Flourish, 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 Emo. We're Synergy Creative. And I'm looking for something that makes me think, oh, maybe this is the one for me. And DNA Recruitment Advertising Agency, they at least have done something here, which is one of my tricks, which is to use leading capitals quite significantly, because you'll see it immediately stands out in the content. And for your website, if you're getting people that are finding you already, and you're in the top 10 of Google, the biggest improvement you can make quickly to get more of those people clicking on your advertisement instead of the Google results above you is to make changes to your title tags and description tags to make sure that those are as focused and keen as they could be. So on this page, or on any page of your website, go to a page, right-click, view page source, and you'll see your title and descriptional tags, which are normally at the top. And this is good because it's got basic traffic skills, the intensive driving crash course experts, so it is focused on the keywords. But that marketing agency that we were looking at wasn't doing that. It wasn't. It's not making enough effort to get me through, and it amazed me how little time is spent on this by business owners. If you are in the top 10 or 20 results of Google, going back over your title tags and description tags and rewriting them to make people click onto your website, which is all that it should be doing at this point, could make a substantial difference to the volume of traffic you're getting. It can instantly increase the volume of people finding you. So it's time well spent, because if these marketing guys aren't thinking about the content they've got in their title tags and description tags, then your competitors probably aren't either. So if you go back through this, make changes to your title tags, use leading capitals, use capitals where it's necessary, but sell me onto your website. So if the marketing agency said, we will work with you to create the most powerful marketing campaign ever, or we guarantee to beat all of our competition and get you more results and more return on investment, that might be a better sales message to get me through onto their page. So go back and look at your own title tags and description tags. If that sounds gobbledygook to you, by all means, send me an email after the event at the email that I've been sending updates to you, and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction, give you some more help. Because this can make a substantial difference to the amount of visitors you get and inquiries. So you've got to sell me onto your website. You've got to make me want to click through and go onto your website. And if you're thinking, what sort of words should I be targeting to get people to try and find me, there's a couple of tricks that I really like that are very useful. And one of them involves using Google Analytics. And I've opened up my Small Business Salt marketing site analytics. And if you come down, once you've logged into analytics, go to acquisition, keywords, and organic. This tells you which keywords people are using to find your website. And the reason it's useful is because often what you'll find is someone's found your website, but the page they've actually landed on doesn't relate to the search term they put on. So using analytics here gives you the ability to find keywords that you can then write blog posts and articles about and answer specifically their questions, which will get you even more traffic. So it's an excellent way of finding out keywords to target for articles and blogs. And blogs are still a massive generator of traffic, so they're worth spending time on. But you can see there's lots of different ones here. How to write the best content for your business website. That I know I haven't answered in a specific blog post, so I'll be taking that content, putting it in as a title and writing a blog post about it. More often than not, especially when you're targeting longer tail keywords, which is how you get the best results for Google now since their recent algorithm changes, those longer tail keywords you can rank in the top 10 almost instantly. Now obviously I'll be using leading capitals, and I'll be saying, if you want to know how to write the best content for your business website, you must read this free guide now to get people to click through once they're on my page. Then I will be working through that page to get them either to get in touch with me or to download some more information to get onto my email list. But you need to be doing the same. So have a look at your analytics. If you don't have it, get it set up. There's lots of Google tutorials, but it gives you so much intelligence. Unfortunately, Google started not telling you keywords. If someone's logged into their account, it won't reveal what they put in. So often you'll see NP, which is what that means if you're wondering. It's quite frustrating from a marketer because I can't often see what's working. So that's a little painful. But that's a great way of finding out keywords, things to write about for your blog so you can get more people onto your website. Now the other tool that I wanted to tell you about is called Screaming Frog. Now this is a free tool up to a 500-page website, and this is very useful for looking at your own websites and looking at your competitors, and I've been asked to put this one in as a competitor. So you put in the URL and you click start, and what this website, this Screaming Frog does is it acts like Google's robot and starts reading every page of the website, looking at the title tags and description tags. So if I select from here, I just want to see the web pages, HTML pages. It gives you the page number, but here's the exciting bits. All in one place, it gives you the title on each page, so it can give you ideas for keywords, and it gives you the description for each page, and that tells you, what keywords they're targeting. It also goes on to give you the H1 tag. So those three things are all vitally important in trying to get Google to send more visitors to your website. So this tool allows you to quickly see, on your own website, what I would be doing is downloading this tool. It doesn't take long. I'll be putting your URL in the top here, pressing start and selecting HTML, and go through and make sure that every page of your website has a unique title tag. If it doesn't, changing that will substantially alter the amount of traffic you get, because suddenly you're saying to Google, this is what this page is all about. Here's the description that we use to sell people onto the site. So if you work on that, make that better, that's going to work better. And here's the title of the page in the H1 tag, which is telling people what this page is about. If you do those three things on every page, if you go and look at your site, you find, as I often do, that every page title and every description is the same at the moment on each page. Changing that will make a massive difference to the amount of free traffic you're attracting. So I do that, and then the other tool is look at competitors, see what keywords they're targeting, and see if it gives you some ideas for targeting for yourself. So that tool is really powerful, and I recommend you have a good play with it, because it will definitely give you some ideas. It will show you what the mistakes that you're making on your own website, and you can quickly go off and improve those. Right, I'm just about to move on to Steve Jobs' bit. I'm just going to take a swig of water, so I'll mute myself for a second. If you have any questions at this point, please do fire away. I'll be happy to answer them. If I did that right, you won't have heard me slurping water. If I did it wrong, I apologize. So next thing on our slides then, and as I say, I'll have plenty of time to answer all of your questions, so please do feel free to type them in, and I'll get to them at the appropriate spots. So Steve Jobs Magic Dust. I had this t-shirt made up because I was reading Steve Jobs' autobiography or biography on holiday last Easter. And there's a guy doing t-shirts, and my daughter got Harry Styles on, my son got a cricket one, and I thought, well, I'll get Steve Jobs, and I'll have one of the Apple advertising campaigns with its bad grammar, Think Different, underneath it, just to remind me to do just that, to think differently at times and not do what everyone else is doing, because that's the most surefire way of getting things wrong. And the book was great. I mean, if you've read it, he wasn't the nicest person in the world, but what he did and what Apple did was some genius things when it comes to marketing, and I want you to think about these because they can make a big difference to the performance of your website. So the three I've got outlined here, but there are many more, is everyone knows what an HT display is. Everyone understands it's high quality, high definition. I'm going to get a really good picture on an HD display. Now that's what the terminology that everyone else uses. What do Apple call it? Retina eye display. Suddenly I've got something completely different. This is just Apple. If I go to Apple, I get a Retina eye display. I mean, that sounds amazing because I know I've got Retina. I don't quite know what they do, but I know I've got them. But I'm sure as heck I want Retina eye display. I don't want HD because this sounds much better. Everyone's got programs, computer programs, software programs. Apple don't have programs, they have apps. Now, app sounds much more exciting than a program. If I get an app, it's going to make me happy. I'm going to be able to do all sorts of wonderful things with an app. And then the final one, video calls. And video calls have been around for years. Excited by video calls? Never really taken off, have they? What does Apple call them on their phone? FaceTime. And suddenly FaceTime was one of their most successful advertising campaigns for the iPhone, because you get grandparents and grandkids interacting. Certainly mine have used it for that purpose. FaceTime is much more intimate, much more personal. So what Apple have done here, and what you should be doing for your business, is they've named every aspect of their products or service and made it different, and made it unique to them. So suddenly they're not being compared with HD, they're being compared with themselves on Retina eye display. They're not selling programs, they're selling apps, which who only sells apps when it's Apple, or who coined that phrase, and they've got FaceTime and not video calls. So when it comes to your business, whatever you're trying to sell someone to do at first with you, give it a name. So if you're trying to get them to purchase your service, then the first thing you need to do is get them on the phone. I'll come on to selling from website, but you don't want to be selling your service straight from the website. You want to get them on the phone so you can sell your service. So give that phone call a name. Don't just, maybe it will be a free inquiry, but for instance, on my marketing consultancy site, it was always called have a free call and I'll tell you what you need to do, whereas now it's a more client strategy call, and that increased take up by about 30%. That's a substantial difference. Should you be doing the same with your services? Do you offer a free call? Do you offer a free guide? Has it got a unique name that no one else is putting out there that's just relevant to you, that if I Google it, only your site comes up? If it isn't, use Steve Jobs' trick and make that happen, because that will make a substantial difference to whatever it is that you want the person to do. Giving it a name and telling them how brilliant this is, because it's only you that offers this, will get you an increase. Someone's asked what a Moody Tom was again, and that is the mistake of saying that all of your content is all about you. So enough about me, what do you think of me? Someone constantly talks about themselves, and at the end of it says, no, enough about me, what do you think of me? I'm brilliant, aren't I? Aren't I great? So that's a Moody Tom. Thank you for that question. I do have this habit, I'm afraid to say, of making myself laugh. I appreciate it's not very endearing, but it is just the way I am programmed, so I apologize for that. Next thing, we were interested with first claims, interested if not worried that it took us such a long time to fix this. But you look at these long pages, and I know some of you will be thinking, oh, there's too much words, but let me tell you, as I said before, it works. You get to the end of the page, and not surprisingly, I've got a phone number, free phone number. We've also got the mobile click to call that I'm going to give you the code for. So if I'm on a mobile and I click that number, it immediately dials the number, which is a massive improvement. But at the bottom, you'll also see there's a link to the free claim inquiry form. Now, you might think, with this one that follows me all the way down the page, why would we need that? Why do we want a free claim inquiry, a separate form? It's not necessary. The reason is 60% of people still fill in this inquiry form. So people seem to have this desire to read a page, go through, and then click to go through to the inquiry form, even though they didn't need to, because they had this form on the right-hand side all of the time. So please bear that in mind. Our experience has been people like to go through to an inquiry form. Don't make them. They can fill in the form on the page. They can phone up, but some people want to go through to an inquiry form. So don't make the mistake of not having one. And if you don't have one, as I mentioned on the intensive driving crash course experts, whack one on there. There's plenty of space on the right-hand side that there could be a free inquiry, or what we'd want to set up is an intense driving strategy call, where I find out which course will be best for you and explain what it will do for you and how quickly you'll get through this. That would be good on the right-hand side there, because that will tell me exactly what I'm going to get from this intense driving strategy call or free call or whatever we're going to call it. So inquiry forms can make a substantial difference. If you don't have one on every page of your website, I'm going to show you a tool at the end that fixes that instantly and dramatically improves the number of inquiries you get. But it's definitely something that you should have. Once you have it, flaunt it. And I'm a big fan of, as I said, making my life easier. So what I do is I look and see what the experts do and copy them when it's appropriate. And with Amazon, the Buy Now button, by and large, is on the right-hand side of the page in your eye line, because they say people come onto a website and they read it in an F shape. So first claims, listers, and then we go across and we'd read across the middle. And when I'm ready, and I've read here, I want to fill in the inquiry form on the right-hand side. So you won't be surprised to see that that inquiry form is in the Amazon Buy Now button position, because that's where I expect to find it, and that's where lots of people find it. So once you've got an inquiry form on your website, then make sure that you put it and make it accessible, either by putting click here to make the free inquiry, or click here to set up a free strategy call. Put it in the Amazon Buy Now button position. The next thing I wanted to share is about whether you put your prices on a website. I was talking to a bank manager this morning I had coffee with, who does a lot with professional services. We were talking about putting prices on a website, and my experience of this has always been, and I'm going to move on to selling high-priced services next, and the way that I find works best. But as soon as you put your prices on a website, you get used as the meerkat. You get used as the comparison, because if you tell me your service costs me this much, I go off and I phone someone up and say, oh, I could get it from ABC and Co, and they'll do it for this much. So you get used to comparison. I worked with a major national service provider who put their prices on when previously they just said send for a quote and then they'd phone back. They decided to give their prices instantly, and overnight their inquiries stopped because they were being used for comparison. So my advice to you on that is, if you're selling services, and especially high-priced services, what you're not selling we'll look at now. Don't try and sell the whole service from the page. Okay, let's look at what you actually need to do. And we do that from getting more clients from your inquiries. If you have any questions, say keep popping them into the questions box. I will come back to them from time to time and answer them. We've not got too much longer to go, so I'll be able to let you get back to your day in the next 15-20 minutes or so. But this next point is, as I mentioned, is about selling high-priced or reasonably priced services from your website. And this is based on testing with lots of clients, testing various different ways to do this. And people, as I say, often make the mistake of trying to sell a whole service from a web page. It is impossible to sell most services from a page, because I need some connection with the business owner or the business service provider before I'm going to make the choice of who I'm going to ask to help me. So break it down into what you're selling from your website is getting someone to communicate with you. Either you want to get them to sign up for your email or your free guide, or you want to get them to sign up to set up a free call with you, or they want to fill in an inquiry form. So that is what you sell from the first page. When it comes to prices, if you offer a fixed price service, tell them that it's a fixed price service, and you'll be able to explain all of the options around that fixed price when you speak with them. So without going into the detail of the price, unless you really are the cheapest, if you are the Ryanair and service doesn't matter, it's just about price, maybe that's the tack you take if you really are cheaper than everyone else. But if there's any element of service in there, that you've got to get them on the phone to explain why you're the right one for them. At that first call, then often the best way of getting to the next stage, particularly if you sell a sort of a service that's charged by the hour, as many professional service providers do, often it's better to sell the first stage as a fixed fee, even if you think, well, I'm not sure this works. Test it, because once you get someone engaging you, even for a small fixed fee, it's much easier to then say to them, right, we've built some trust. I'm now prepared to give you to pay you on your hourly rate basis, because you show me you really do know what you're doing. So I'm happy to take things to the next level now. So bear that in mind. Remember, the object of your website is to sell people onto the first contact with you, not to sell the whole service. Then on that first call, you sell the next stage. That can make a substantial difference to the success of your website sales and turning those clients into inquiries. The next stage is, I know that I've got businesses on this webinar. Many of them are solopreneurs, as the Americans might say. Many of them have 5 to 10 staff, then many of them have 50 to 100 staff. So I've got a full mixture. Certainly if you're at the lower end of this, the one thing I would strongly recommend if you're generating inquiries from your website is to get them handled by a call center. I mentioned that I've got a call center on the line on the webinar now. If you would like their details, I'm happy to recommend them because they're the one I use for all of my businesses. When your client makes a phone call, if you are a small business and you have 1 line or 2 lines and it takes more than 5 or 6 rings, you know yourself how impatient we are these days. We won't wait. So if that phone isn't answered, off we go. For 20, 30 pounds a month as a starting point, you can have someone handling your calls all of the time. It makes you sound much more professional. Going back to the website, Crash Course Experts, I would say having a call center at the top here and not promoting a mobile number, which we've got 2 different mobile numbers, would be an excellent way to go, because often, obviously, by the nature of your service, you're going to be providing driving courses, you're going to be out in the car, you can't take the call. If that goes to a call center, which is answered as the Intense Driving Crash Course Experts, a few questions are asked, the call center takes some details and immediately sends them through to you, that is going to get you a much better response, because immediately I've already made contact with you. If I phone and get a voicemail, I'm probably going on to the next caller on the list, the next website that I found. So it's a strong recommendation that you use a call center, because the perception is always that you're bigger, the costs are nominal, and you won't miss calls. And even when I've worked with bigger clients and we're talking about substantial, some of them are substantial and have millions of pounds turnover, I will always push them when we're doing any sort of marketing to their website to use a call center to handle those calls, because it means you can track very much more carefully the sort of volume of inquiries that you're getting, and you can make sure that you're getting a return on investment from the campaign. So as I say, if you want the call center details, just email me after this and I'll send them on to you, and you can get in touch and see if they're good for you. But I strongly recommend it. It's a good way to go. Then finally, for this section, I just wanted to talk about follow-up procedure. And so often this is done so badly now that people will have a phone call, send an email if you're lucky, and that is it. And when it comes to generating more inquiries, more clients from the inquiries from your website, the easiest way of increasing your return on investment from people that have already inquired about your services is to never stop following up. And I'm not talking about hard selling here. I'm talking about phoning up a few days after you get the inquiry, send an email. I would strongly recommend sending something in the post, because these days so little comes through the post that when it does, you take notice of it and look at it. So send something by email, send something by post, and then 3 or 4 days later, phone up to say, just checking you got my email, got my details in the post, have you got any questions? That alone will get you more clients from your inquiries, and it won't cost you much at all. You're not trying to hard sell your services, you're just saying, you inquired, I followed up, have you got any questions, is everything clear to you, can I help you? And immediately you'll find out what their thoughts are. So you'll gain intelligence about future client transactions. If they say, well, you're just too expensive, probably means you haven't sold your service well enough, haven't sent enough testimonials, or haven't justified why you're £50, £100, £500 more expensive than the next service provider. So you could improve that, and you will learn something all the time from these calls, even if you don't turn that client into that inquiry into a client. So follow-up is one of the areas where you can make a substantial improvement to your processes and to the number of clients you're taking on. Next stage, more clients automatically, and this is something that it's that horrible phrase, no-brainer. But what I'm going to lead you to now is something that everyone on this webinar should test, because it costs next to nothing and it works, and I'll explain why and what it's all about. So I've been a big fan of live chat for many years, where you click a button, suddenly you have an instant question and answer session, and it works. It can work because it's something else on the site. If I'm just thinking, shall I bother, shan't I, shall I make an inquiry? Oh, okay, let's have a quick chat. Away you go. Once you've got a client onto, or a prospect onto that sort of path that you're engaged with them, and there's communication, there's much more chance they're going to become a client. But the problem with that, or with live chat, is that whilst at the beginning it's very exciting and frequently used, there comes a time when people forget to turn it on. Quite often live chat's not interactive, so it doesn't pop up and say we're here to help ask us a question. And I think I was looking for one earlier. Here we go. So we've got a site that recommends different types of live chat, and their live chat isn't on. So it says leave a message. So our operators aren't available at the moment. Leave a message, and we'll get back to you. That's the problem with live chat. When it's not turned on, and after the initial novelty of it being turned on, it completely disappears. When it's not turned on, it looks actually like dead chat. So rather than being live chat, we've got something that isn't working because there's no one there to answer it. Now, in that format where I've got to click this poppy up and poppy down button to leave a message, I've got to interact, and that doesn't work. And that's the major problem with call centers. So while I was on holiday in the Caribbean last Easter, which is something I'd always wanted to do with my kids, and as they are getting close to the age where they're not going to want to spend any time with their parents soon, before coming back to the stage where they want free holidays, I thought it needed to be then. So we went off to Barbados, had a fantastic time, and after 4 or 5 days I'm lying on the beach and I start thinking about my clients, and I start thinking how sad I am, start thinking about what all of my clients have in common is they're really good at the service they provide. They are specialists, they're experts, they can do a great job. The problem they have is they don't want to spend all of their time marketing or thinking about how to get new clients. So I was coupling that with the thought of live chat, which can work, but it's not interactive enough, and it's not on all the time, and someone has to manage it. You can only answer one chat at a time. And so I came up with the idea that if I could create something that was automatic, that worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, without the website owner having to lift a finger to do a single thing except to deal with the inquiry once it came in, then that would be a good thing. So I set about sort of playing with this idea, and within 6 months, last September, we created it. It's now been going for quite some time, and most importantly and most excitingly for me, it works. This is called Your Website Genie, and it does so many things that excite me so ridiculously I can't tell you, because it fixes broken website instantly. So we've had people put it on websites where they're getting no inquiries because there's not enough calls to action, or there's no calls to action. People are finding it but just don't know what to do. Put this on and they start getting inquiries instantly. So it starts bringing new work to them. It increases conversion by up to 30%. And don't just take my word for it. I should have prepared this earlier, shouldn't I? Hopefully we can find it. So Mike Seddon is a Google AdWords search engine optimization expert, and he's tried the Genie on some accounts, and where is it? 3 times better. So he's measured this and said that sometimes Genie is converting 3 times better. So if you're getting 20 inquiries a month at the moment from your website, sticking this on there could make that 27 inquiries a month. And this is without you having to do anything except put this piece of code on, which takes seconds. So it increases conversion by up to 30%. It works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you can get on with doing what you do best, looking after your clients. Put this on your website and it will bring you more inquiries without you having to do anything else. So it is that I specialize in automated client attraction. It is a completely automated client attraction tool. It requires no input from you. You don't have to do anything with it once you set it up, which, as I say, takes 3 minutes. It generates new clients for you. Perhaps more importantly, one of the things it does is it tells you, the code we built into it tells you which page your visitor was on when they filled in the inquiry, so that you can improve the content on that page and make it work harder for you next time. So if they say, well, I don't really know if you offer this service, and you find out they were on page 230, you go back to page 230 and make sure you specify that you do include the service they were inquiring about. So it gives you two sides to this. It gives you more leads, but it also tells you what people are thinking, which is why they haven't got in touch with you before now. So you can make improvements there. Our clients love it. It takes 3 minutes to set up. We can even add the code for you if you're a complete technophobe. We'll get it on for you because we know this works. We want you to try it. There's no risk to you because we want you to try it. As I said, it's a no-brainer service. It works. I was speaking to someone yesterday who was like, oh gosh, what? I wish I found out about this earlier. I'm going to check it on tomorrow and I'll see what it does. If you try it, buy it now, try it 30 days. If you're not completely happy, email us. We will give you your money back, and that's it. But in 30 days, how many new clients could you attract using the software? How many new inquiries could you get? If you're already getting some inquiries from your website, this could get you more inquiries. If you're not getting any from your website, but you know you're getting traffic to your website, this could start to get inquiries for you. Okay, so whatever services you provide, this will generate more inquiries from your website. If it doesn't, don't use it. But the aim today is to say, look, I've given you lots of tools which if you go away and implement what I've talked about today, that will get you results. If you want to do more, put your website Genie on your website and get even more results without having to do any of that. So yeah, the way I would do this if I was the business owner is I would say, right, chuck the Genie on right now within 10 minutes and it's up and running. Then go back through all these other changes we talked about, making your calls to action stronger, telling people exactly what it is you do, making your title tags and descriptions work harder. If you go back through all of those things, but in the meantime, you've got something on your website working to generate more inquiries for you, and working to get you more inquiries from your own website. So let's just have a quick look at how it presents itself. This is the Genie as it is on the Genie website, and the idea is it is supposed to be a very gentle sell, and this is what makes it work, and this is why it is working. So can we help you? We're here to help with any questions. Just click yes or no. Now if someone clicks no, it disappears. It doesn't keep popping up and annoying someone. It will disappear for 24 hours and 5 minutes. The next day, if they come back, as often people do, and that's what we find, sometimes people come on our site, go off, and another day comes by and they say, actually, yes, I'm ready to ask a question now. They then become a live lead for you. If they click yes, they're asked to enter their question, and the crucial part is here, please enter your question below. They can type as much or as little as they like to, and at this point when I click send your question now, that question is stored for the website owner. They will get a copy of that question. They will be told what page that question, what page the visitor was on when they asked that question, and that becomes something that they can actually use. Now if they go on and fill in this next part, which you may be surprised to hear is as much as 80% do, so most people do, and a lot of them give telephone number, because by this point, if you think about this, they've committed to the process. They've asked a question, they'd like the answer. So now giving their follow-up details is not such a big thing because they want to know the answer to the question. So we click send and off we go. We say thank you. Now the owner of this website, it's obviously me, I'm a business partner and team, get a copy of that email, asking me what the question is, and we've got a lead, we can follow up. If we've only got an email, we send an email back. If we've got email and telephone number, we can get on the phone and we can start the process that will help to turn that inquiry into a client. And it's exactly the same for your service. The idea is to get someone interacting with you. As I said to you, the key point of your website is it should sell interaction with you, and that interaction is what then leads to the sale of your service or your product. If someone comes onto your website and for every 100 visitors, probably only 1 or 2 get in touch with you, you're missing all those opportunities. The idea of the Genie is to get you more of these opportunities coming through. Someone's asked a question. Any comments on not being able to get out of the Genie if you click yes to answer question? Well, no, because there's a big cross. I can't go back there now. There's a big cross on the box that allows you to close it if you don't want to ask a question. But that's not used much. Most people go on and ask their questions, so there's no issues. I mean, it's designed to be as transparent as possible. We're not trying to trick anyone, but we are trying to start a process here where you get more inquiries from your website. And we've got this working on estate agents, financial advisors, accountancy, law firms, marketing consultants, all sorts of different people. And it generates inquiries. I mean, you saw there over 7,000 inquiries generated so far. It just simply works. And if you're worried about the cost of this, it's £20 a month. As I say, you can try it for 30 days. There's absolutely no problem. If it doesn't work for you, say no, that hasn't worked. We'll refund you, and at least you've given it a go. But if you want to try it, you go to the try page at the top here, click on the try it now, set it all up within 3 minutes. The best results we've had, so I challenge you to beat this. Someone put it on their website within 3 minutes, and at 5 minutes they had their first inquiry. So you've got a challenge there to go and use it. You'll see the Genie The reason it's popped up is because I'd been on the website for a long time. If I click no, we go away. But yeah, click to try your website Genie, put it on, give it a go, and see what it does for you. There's nothing to lose for this, but while you're putting the Genie on, you can go back and make all of those changes to your website that we've discussed, and you can get even more people finding your website and even more people filling in the Genie or filling in other parts of your website to make contact with you. There are so many opportunities out there to get clients come into your business and to make your life easier. And as I said at the beginning, it's a big joy of mine making people's lives easier, which is exactly why I came up with the website Genie concept when I was lying on that beach thinking how I could do that. That's all I have for you today, but I am absolutely more than happy to answer any questions you have for me now, or you'll get a chance to answer questions afterwards. Please feel free to make use of that. I spend all of my time thinking about generating website inquiries, generating more inquiries from clients' websites. You have access, you have permission to pick my brain today, and I will be more than happy to help you too. So if you don't have a question for me now, feel free to fire one away at me later. But the key thing I'd say is make the changes I've discussed with you today and give your website Genie a go for 30 days by going to the /try address, your website genie.co.uk/try. Give it a go and see what it does. Don't sit there and question it and think about, well, maybe I'll do that and let's see what happens. Put it on there, give it a go for 30 days, make a diary note for 30 days. If at the end of that you count up and you say, well, no, I haven't had more leads this month, then cancel it. And we use a payment provider called Go Cardless, and the reason we do that is because it's direct debit, which means you have complete control over cancelling it. So if you get to the end of the 30 days, you don't want it, you can cancel your payment, and that can be the end of it. We'd like you to let us know that you cancelled your payment, because then we can turn off the code. We'll work it out, though, we're quite quick. But there is no risk, so please go ahead. As I say, ask me any questions you want at all by email or follow up to the GoToWebinar. I'll be delighted to help you. Finally, thanks very much for joining me today. It's been really good to have you on the call, and I hope to speak with you soon. Thanks.